Namaste, dosto. Welcome to the show. Today, we're diving into another chapter of our fascinating history, one that is filled with courage, resilience, and incredible strategic brilliance. We're talking about Chapter 14, Part 2, Military Actions in 1948, the strategic triumphs of Poonch Brigade, a tale of valor in the Jhangar sector. So, sit back, relax, and let's explore how these unsung heroes turned the tides of battle in 1948. The capture of Jhangar was a defining moment during the 1948 Kashmir Conflict. The town was far more than just a dot on the map. It was a vital logistical hub that held immense strategic significance. Controlling Jhangar meant controlling the supply lines, communication routes, and movements that were crucial for both Indian and enemy forces. When the Poonch Brigade executed their operation to capture Jhangar, it was a masterclass in military precision and strategic foresight. By securing this stronghold, they denied the enemy a base that could have severely jeopardized India's operational plans. More importantly, it allowed Indian forces to maintain uninterrupted access to the region, ensuring troops were supplied and positioned effectively for future campaigns. This wasn't just a tactical victory, it was a game-changer for the larger war effort. Now, let's dive into how this victory aligns with the principles of operational art in warfare. Jhangar's capture demonstrated the importance of securing supply lines, an essential tenet of operational art. Without Jhangar, Indian forces would have struggled to coordinate their movements and maintain their strength. This operation showcased how mastering logistics and denying the enemy access to vital routes can shift the balance of power in a conflict. It's a textbook example of how strategy and planning on a macro level directly influence success on the battlefield. Moving next, let's understand the defense of Rajauri, which stands as yet another testament to the grit and determination of the Poonch Brigade. The battles around this region were some of the fiercest of the 1948 Kashmir Conflict, and the stakes were extraordinarily high. Rajauri wasn't just another town, it was a critical supply route and a powerful symbol of territorial integrity. Losing Rajauri would have been a severe blow, both operationally and symbolically, as it would have compromised India's control over the region and emboldened the enemy forces to push further. Pakistani forces launched repeated incursions in their attempt to seize Rajauri. These weren't half-hearted efforts. They came in waves, determined to break the Indian defensive line. Yet, the Indian troops, led by the Poonch Brigade, stood resolute. Rajauri's significance lay in its strategic position. It was a key node in the supply route and critical for maintaining logistical continuity for Indian forces in the region. To understand the broader significance of the defense of Rajauri, let's turn to the principles of operational art, particularly as influenced by Prussian-German operational doctrines. These doctrines emphasize the necessity of maintaining control over critical nodes in conflict zones to ensure long-term success. Rajauri fits this framework perfectly. Let's talk about the daring raids into Pakistan-Occupied Kashmir (POK) by the Poonch Brigade during the 1948 Kashmir Conflict, which remain a shining example of bold military action with a strategic purpose. These weren't random attacks or uncoordinated skirmishes. They were calculated moves aimed at disrupting the enemy's supply chains and operational capacity, thereby weakening their ability to sustain prolonged engagements against Indian forces. The primary goal of these raids was to strike at the very backbone of the enemy's operations, their supply lines. By targeting these critical routes, the Poonch Brigade intended to force the enemy to shift their focus from offensive maneuvers to defensive actions. To fully appreciate the strategic brilliance of these raids, we can look at them through the lens of the Soviet concept of deep operations. This military theory emphasizes striking not just at the front lines, but deep into the enemy's rear to disrupt their logistics, command structures, and ability to sustain war efforts. The Poonch Brigade's raids into POK mirrored this concept beautifully. By attacking the enemy's depth, they forced Pakistan's forces to divert manpower, resources, and attention away from their offensive operations. This disruption didn't just slow the enemy down, it created an opportunity for Indian forces to consolidate their positions and mount countermeasures. Moving next, let's look at about some key operations and their relevance from OP art. First, we will talk about Operation Catch. Dosto, Operation Catch was a meticulously planned and executed military maneuver during the 1948 Kashmir conflict. Its primary aim was to capture the strategic hilltop, point 7416, and clear the nearby Kasbah village, objectives of critical importance in denying the enemy a valuable stronghold and ensuring Indian forces could maintain operational superiority in the region. The operation was a fine example of inter-unit coordination. It involved the 9 Kashmir Infantry, the 1 J&K militia, and the 8 J&K militia, all working together toward a common goal. This coordination showcased the ability to blend the strengths of regular and local militia units to achieve decisive results. The operation commenced at 1900 hours on 18th October 1948, with Indian forces moving decisively under cover of darkness. By 0200 hours on 19th October, they had successfully captured the hilltop and cleared the village. However, the operation didn't end there. The enemy, recognizing the critical nature of the lost positions, launched reinforcements to reclaim them. Indian troops demonstrated immense resolve and skill in repelling these counterattacks, ensuring the objectives remained secure. To understand the broader implications of Operation Catch, let's analyze it through the lens of operational art as shaped by various historical doctrines. 1. Napoleon and the dawn of operational warfare. The operation reflects Napoleon's emphasis on controlling decisive terrain to dominate broader campaigns. Just as Napoleon recognized the value of securing key locations to control the battlefield, the capture of PT 7416 and Kasbah village highlights the importance of dominating strategic high ground to gain leverage in a conflict. By controlling this hilltop, Indian forces not only secured a tactical advantage but also reinforced their operational grip over the region. 2. Prussian-German operational art. Moltke's principles of balancing offense and defense are evident in this operation. The structured offensive to capture PT 7416 and Kasbah village was paired with a robust defensive effort to repel enemy reinforcements. 3. Soviet operational art. Finally, from a Soviet perspective, the operation can be seen as a deep action aimed at disrupting enemy coherence. By seizing PT 7416, Indian forces disrupted the enemy's ability to use the terrain for logistical and operational purposes. The capture of Kasbah village further amplified this disruption, as the enemy lost both a tactical stronghold and a node critical for supply routes. These moves reflect the Soviet doctrine of deep operations, striking at critical points to dismantle the enemy's operational structure and momentum. Moving next, let's talk about Operation Right Hook. Dosto. This operation was a bold and strategically significant military maneuver during the 1948 Kashmir conflict. Its primary goal was to capture 3 critical enemy strongholds: Pir Margo Ghazi, Dani Napir, and Khanetar Gully. These locations held immense tactical and operational value, as controlling them would deny the adversary access to vital terrain and bolster India's overall dominance in the region. The operation was a fine display of coordination between the 8 J&K militia and the 1 J&K infantry. These 2 units worked seamlessly, combining their unique capabilities to mount a highly synchronized assault. Their cooperation exemplified the importance of integration among different units to achieve common objectives. The operation began at 1930 hours on 19th November 1948, with Indian forces launching simultaneous offensives on multiple fronts. By 0330 hours on 20th November, they had achieved complete success, securing all 3 targeted strongholds. The culmination of this mission was the link-up with a relief column from Rajauri, which further solidified Indian control over the area and ensured the positions were defended against potential enemy counterattacks. The success of Operation Right Hook not only denied the adversary crucial strongholds, but also ensured operational connectivity and momentum for Indian forces in the region. Operation Right Hook is a brilliant example of operational art in action, drawing parallels with key doctrines from military history. Let's analyze its relevance through the lens of various operational theories. 1. Prussian-German operational art. The multi-axis offensive targeting Pir Mago Ghazi, Dani Na Pir, and Khanetar Gully reflects the principles of blitzkrieg, a hallmark of Prussian-German operational art. The synchronized assaults on multiple strongholds demonstrate an ability to overwhelm the enemy by dividing their focus and resources. Just as blitzkrieg emphasizes rapid, coordinated strikes to disorient and defeat the enemy, Operation Right Hook leveraged coordination and timing to achieve decisive results. The operation's success in linking up with the relief column further highlights the importance of synchronization in executing a well-structured offensive. From the Soviet perspective, Operation Right Hook aligns closely with the concept of deep operations. The coordinated actions of the 8 Jhangar militia and 1 Jhangar infantry penetrated deep into enemy-held territory, capturing vital positions that disrupted the adversary's coherence and operational depth. The Soviet doctrine emphasizes integration across fronts, and this operation mirrors that by seamlessly linking tactical maneuvers with broader strategic objectives, such as the secure link-up with the Rajauri relief column. 3. Israeli operational art. The operation also reflects principles central to Israeli operational art, particularly the focus on simultaneous attacks at multiple points to maintain flexibility and momentum. Israeli military doctrine emphasizes maneuver warfare and the ability to adapt quickly to battlefield dynamics. The simultaneous offensives on Pir Mago Ghazi, Dani Na Pir, and Khanetar Gully showcased offensive flexibility, ensuring that Indian forces could exploit the enemy's weaknesses while maintaining pressure across different fronts. Moving next to Operation Salotri. Operation Salotri was a crucial military endeavor during the 1948 Kashmir Conflict, aimed at eliminating a significant enemy threat to Poonch. The operation focused on the strategic capture of Point 5024 to neutralize the adversary's hold over the area and expose their artillery positions, thus ensuring the safety of Indian forces and logistics in the region. The mission was executed with precision and coordination by the 8 Kashmir infantry and 1 J&K militia. This collaborative effort between regular infantry and militia units highlighted the importance of inter-unit cohesion in achieving strategic objectives. The operation began at 0130 hours on 25 November 1948, with the Indian forces launching their assault under cover of darkness. The intense battle concluded successfully by 10:30 hours on 26 November, with the capture of PT 5024 and the complete removal of enemy threats in the region. This victory not only secured a critical location, but also exposed enemy gun positions, further weakening their operational capacity. The strategic and tactical brilliance of Operation Salotri can be analyzed through the lens of operational art, drawing inspiration from Soviet, British, and American military doctrines. 1. Soviet operational art. The capture of PT 5024 reflects the Soviet emphasis on securing depth and sustaining operations. Soviet doctrine prioritized the control of critical terrain to ensure logistical continuity and operational depth, both of which were vital in the mountainous terrain of the Poonch sector. By neutralizing the enemy's hold on PT 5024, Indian forces ensured that their rear areas remained secure and their supply lines unobstructed, key principles in sustaining prolonged campaigns. 2. British operational art. The operation also aligns with British approaches to warfare, particularly their focus on securing rear areas and neutralizing threats to critical regions during extended conflicts. Clearing the enemy threat to Poonch demonstrated the importance of maintaining a stable and defensible operational base, a hallmark of British operational art. By eliminating the adversary's ability to harass Indian forces from PT 5024, the operation strengthened the overall security of the Poonch sector and allowed Indian troops to concentrate on offensive actions elsewhere. American operational art. From an American perspective, the rapid neutralization of enemy artillery threats exemplifies the focus on achieving immediate tactical superiority. American operational art emphasizes the importance of neutralizing enemy firepower to gain a decisive edge on the battlefield. By exposing and eliminating the enemy's gun positions during Operation Salotri, Indian forces demonstrated the same principle, removing the adversary's ability to strike and ensuring tactical dominance. At last, we can say Operation Salotri was more than just a tactical victory. It was a masterstroke in operational planning and execution. By securing PT 5024 and neutralizing enemy artillery threats, Indian forces reinforced the security of Poonch, safeguarded their logistical routes, and disrupted the enemy's coherence in the region. Moving next, let's understand about the capture of Thanpe and Point 7030 during the 1948 Kashmir Conflict, which was a critical operation that dealt a severe blow to enemy forces by denying them to highly strategic strongholds. These positions were not only valuable for their tactical advantage, but also pivotal for disrupting the enemy's broader operational capabilities in the region. This mission was carried out with precision and teamwork by 1x4 Gorkha rifles and 1 Kashmir infantry. The coordinated efforts of these seasoned units highlighted the tactical acumen of the Indian Army and their ability to execute complex operations under challenging conditions. The operation commenced on 13 December 1948, with Indian forces launching their offensive with meticulous planning. By 14 December, they had successfully captured both objectives, securing Thanpe and Point 7030. The successful capture of Thanpe and Point 7030 showcases the principles of operational art as reflected in Soviet, Prussian-German, and Israeli doctrines. Let's examine this operation through these frameworks. 1. Soviet operational art. The operation aligns closely with Soviet concepts of layered operational depth. By capturing Thanpe and Point 7030, Indian forces disrupted the enemy's defenses and denied them the ability to maneuver effectively. Soviet operational theory emphasizes controlling strategic positions to dismantle the enemy's depth and coherence, and this operation achieved precisely that. The seizure of these strongholds not only created vulnerabilities in the enemy's defensive structure, but also paved the way for further Indian advances. 2. Prussian-German operational art. The emphasis on operational momentum and the successive capture of objectives mirrors German military doctrines, particularly those developed by Helmuth von Moltke. The operation demonstrated a relentless offensive thrust, where Indian forces moved quickly to secure their objectives before the enemy could regroup. This momentum ensured that the enemy was kept off balance, unable to mount an effective counterattack. The structured, step-by-step approach reflects Prussian-German principles of maintaining pressure and capitalizing on opportunities during a campaign. 3. Israeli operational art. From an Israeli perspective, the operation exemplifies the principle of striking at enemy vulnerabilities through tactical maneuvers. Israeli doctrines emphasize flexibility, speed, and targeting weak points in the enemy's defenses, which were key aspects of this operation. The coordinated efforts of the 1x4 Gorkha rifles and 1 Kashmir infantry overwhelmed enemy defenses, exploiting their inability to hold critical positions under pressure. This swift and decisive action underscores the importance of tactical adaptability in achieving strategic goals. Moving next, let's talk about operations in the Jhangar sector. Dosto, the Jhangar sector during the 1948 Kashmir conflict became a focal point of intense military action. Indian forces faced relentless artillery bombardment from Pakistani forces, which not only threatened their operational positions but also endangered civilian populations in the area. Despite these challenges, the Indian Army responded with a combination of strategic offensives, defensive measures, and tactical ingenuity to retain control over this critical sector. Pakistani forces deployed heavy artillery to disrupt Indian operations and weaken morale. The constant barrage of shelling required the Indian Army to adopt robust responses, fortify positions, and maintain high levels of morale among troops. Civilians in the area also needed protection, adding complexity to Indian operations. Amid the hostile environment, capturing and defending critical locations became vital. These strongholds not only served as defensive nodes, but also provided a platform for launching counteroffensives. Controlling key points in the Jhangar sector allowed Indian forces to disrupt enemy plans and maintain a strong operational presence. Indian operations in the Jhangar sector also played a broader strategic role by diverting Pakistani attention and resources. These actions tied down enemy forces, reducing their ability to concentrate on other fronts. This strategic distraction supported the main Indian offensives elsewhere, showcasing the Jhangar sector's role as a pivotal theatre of war. The intense operations in the Jhangar sector reflect principles of operational art drawn from British, Soviet, and Prussian-German military doctrines. 1. British operational art. The Indian Army's response to frequent enemy shelling aligns with British principles of maintaining morale and fortifying positions under artillery fire. The British approach emphasizes resilience in the face of sustained bombardment, ensuring that troops remain focused and capable of countering enemy offensives. The Indian Army's ability to protect its forces and civilians while continuing its operations reflects this principle. 2. Soviet operational art. Soviet military doctrine highlights the importance of counterattacks and disruption tactics to undermine the enemy's focus and coherence. Indian actions in the Jhangar sector, especially counteroffensives and the strategic capture of key positions, embody this approach. By forcing the enemy to divert attention and resources to Jhangar, Indian forces successfully disrupted Pakistani operations and supported broader strategic goals. 3. Prussian-German operational art. The layered defenses and coordinated counteroffensives in Jhangar align with Prussian-German concepts of securing operational nodes. German military thought often emphasizes the need to hold critical sectors through robust defenses while launching calculated counterattacks to weaken the enemy's momentum. The Indian Army strategy of defending key locations and launching countermeasures mirrors this doctrine, ensuring continued control of the sector. The operations in the Jhangar sector highlight the Indian Army's ability to adapt to challenging circumstances and execute strategies grounded in robust operational art. Moving next, let's understand Operation Button. Operation Button was a strategically significant military action during the 1948 Kashmir Conflict. The operation aimed to capture the highly important Point 3782, a key stronghold that held immense tactical and operational value in the region. By denying the enemy control over this high ground, Indian forces sought to disrupt their operational plans and secure positional superiority. The operation's primary goal was to clear the enemy from Point 3782, a position that offered both defensive strength and an advantageous view of the surrounding terrain. Controlling this point was essential to ensuring the security of Indian positions and limiting the enemy's operational flexibility in the area. The operation was entrusted to two units of the Rajput Regiment, whose discipline, bravery, and combat prowess were critical in executing the mission successfully. Their coordinated effort demonstrated the Indian Army's ability to plan and execute focused operations under challenging conditions. The operation commenced at 0430 hours on 7th November 1948. Indian forces launched their assault with speed and precision, catching the enemy off guard and neutralizing their defenses. The swift and decisive action underscored the Indian Army's resolve to reclaim vital positions and maintain operational control in the region. Operation Button serves as a fine example of the application of operational art, drawing from principles found in British, Israeli, and Soviet military doctrines. Here's how the operation resonates with these frameworks. 1. British operational art. The operation reflects British principles of localized, decisive engagements. The capture of Point 3782 aligns with a British emphasis on securing high ground and achieving positional advantage in battle. By focusing on a specific and critical objective, the operation ensured that Indian forces could dominate the surrounding area and deny the enemy the ability to regroup or retaliate effectively. 2. Israeli operational art. The precision and tactical surprise employed during the capture of Point 3782 echo Israeli military doctrines. Israeli operational art emphasizes striking swiftly at critical points to neutralize enemy capabilities before they can respond. The Indian Army's early morning assault leveraged the element of surprise, overwhelming the enemy and achieving the objective with minimal delay, mirroring this approach. 3. Soviet operational art. From a Soviet perspective, the operation embodies the principle of terrain exploitation to secure strategic depth. By capturing Point 3782, Indian forces gained control over an operational choke point that disrupted the enemy's ability to maneuver and sustain operations. This reflects the Soviet focus on using terrain to create depth in operations, ensuring logistical and tactical advantages. Operation Button was a tactical success that achieved strategic objectives by denying the enemy a key stronghold and securing control over a vital terrain feature. The operation's swift execution and focused objective illustrate a seamless blend of principles from British, Israeli, and Soviet operational art. So, dosto, the operations by the Poonch Brigade and in the Jhangar sector weren't just battles. They were statements of resilience, courage, and tactical brilliance. They denied the enemy key strongholds, disrupted their operations, and boosted the morale of our forces. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we explore more heroic chapters of India's military history. Jai Hind.